Hello guys, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time we're talking about even more Transformers Cyberverse toys. We had recently talked about some brand new reveals with the Deluxe Class, Warrior Class, and I think it was Ultra Class toy line, but this is a brand new set of toys for Cyberverse called Battle Call. And it's going to consist of two classes, that being the Officer and Trooper class. And I will say ahead of time, I'm so tired of us getting a whole brand new set of toys and seeing the same characters over and over again. It's always the same Optimus, Bumblebee, Megatron, and Starscream. I'm so tired of it. Especially considering that Transformers Cyberverse has so many characters that you can pick from, and it's always the same Optimus, Bumblebee, Megatron, Starscream. Of course, it expands to other characters, but generally, it's always them that gets like the same toys. We have like 10 Bumblebees, 10 Megatrons, 10 Optimus Primes. I'm tired of it. Sure, this toy line is probably not directed to me, but it gets so oversaturated with the same characters that it just kind of blends into the same thing. And it's like, does anyone want really another Bumblebee? Anyways, these apparently have some lights and sounds gimmicks to them. I imagine the Trooper figures just have lights, and then the sounds are in the Officer class. But let's go ahead and take a look at the figures themselves. The Optimus Prime. In truck mode, it looks pretty good. You know, you got the basic legs on the back that just stick out and don't really do anything. I'm also noticing that the Energon armor piece, like the Ultra Class toys, seem to stick off onto the back. Some of these will be detachable, some of these I imagine will not be, like the Ultra Class toys. So there's that. But the paintwork is okay. It does look a little basic to me, especially around the sides of the cab. But what I do like is, generally when we see the Cyberverse Optimus Prime, the shoulders don't really look good with the cab, because it's got a different aesthetic to the overall cab. Like on the sides there, you can see this nice flesh squared off section, and then the shoulders just kind of stick off. But I don't think it's too bad on this form. Yeah, I just think that, you know, it's basic, but I think it gets the job done. As far as this robot mode with the sword and shield combined for storage, which I do like, it's not too bad. It's definitely kibbly on the back, and I imagine that armor is just going to stick out. But the one thing I really don't like is the head. It just looks too small. I like the sculpt work. I think it looks good, but it's just way too small for that body. It just really looks off. But I think overall, it's harmless, it's fine. You know, I'm not going to complain too much about it. And then with the Energon armor and that helmet, I do like the helmet overall. It does kind of remind me of that Beast Hunter's Optimus Prime, more specifically the toys, because that looked a little different than the CGI form. The shield reminds me of Sentinel Prime and how it pops out, and it's got a sword, much like his Last Knight counterpart. I think that overall this is fine. It's apparently going to be about the Leader Class or Ultimate Class price range. So if you're into that, if you want another large Optimus Prime, there you go. Speaking of which, there's also a Bumblebee in the same class. So if you want a large Bumblebee, well, here you go. And as far as the car mode is concerned, I think it's fine. I like the black stripes on the top, transparent windows, and it's got some paint at least. I wish that the wheels were painted, but I think overall it's harmless enough. You know, it's fine. I would like to see more paint on the sides though, but you know, it's fine. It's a basic Bumblebee car. I'm not going to complain too much. His robot mode is okay, but it looks kind of basic. Looks like the typical Bumblebee from some of the other class toys, you know. I don't really need it. I'm not that interested, but I do like the paint work. There's something going on with the legs and the torso, which is nice. The one thing that I don't like is the on-off switch. When I first saw that, I saw the writing and I thought, is there a copyright thing on that? But no, it's just the on-off switch. And the shield combines to form, well, a shield, and then they separate to form blades, which is cool. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at the Energon armor version of it. So again, you know, it's got the couple of blades, and then the Energon armor flips from the back, much like the Ultra Class toys, much like the Optimus. The helmet just looks like a cowbell with these venomous eyes, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. It just looks completely odd, especially for Bumblebee. I think if it was a Decepticon or something, it would be fine, but it just doesn't really work with Bumblebee. I guess that's kind of the point. It's meant to be something different, but it just looks off. I'm also noticing that a lot of the canopy sticks out in the leg, which I do like the fact that that actually goes somewhere, so I'm not going to complain about that. But overall, you know, it's just another Bumblebee that I really don't care about, and it's not going to be the last Bumblebee we talk about with this section. Alright, moving right along, we also have Starscream, which seems to have a scorpion tail that you can attach. That's kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time. His jet form seems to be based on his original jet form, not that new Cybertronian one. And yeah, you got the legs on top, they just kind of wrap around it, which looks odd, especially when you got the smaller wings on the top there. It just doesn't really work. But I think that overall, you know, we've seen how bad these Starscreams can get, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. It just looks kind of odd. And then we've also got him without the Energon Armor head sculpt, but they decide to give him the claws still, which I think is kind of weird, but whatever. So apparently you can attach onto this tail a couple of these Wolverine blades. I shouldn't say Wolverine, but yeah, he's got these transparent green blades, which, by the way, the transparent green kind of reminds me of that Energon Starscream that we got a while back. But I think that overall the sculpt is fine. There's something weird about the head. It looks a little too big around the helmet, but I think that overall, again, we've seen worse, so I'm not going to complain too much. But when you got the whole Energon armor setup going on with it, it just looks like some sort of cat girl hentai thing. I mean, it's got the tentacle, it's got the cat ears, it's kind of weird. But, yeah, I'm not going to say much about it. It's another typical Starscream. I do like the paint underneath the wings, so at least there's that. And then we've got Megatron, because of course we do. I think that the tank form looks really good. Is the turret off center? I can't really tell. If it is, that'd be an interesting touch. But, yeah, typical Megatron, you can see that he even has somewhat a similar transformation compared to that Warrior Class toy with the legs and how they fold up, except this time they've got a panel to cover some of that up. The fusion cannon looks great. It's got some painted red and silver on the front, so that's nice. Overall, you know, it's typical Megatron tank, and then the robot mode, I really just don't care about. I like some of the Energon armor, you know, I like the weapons, I like that blade. And the fusion cannon, once again, looks fine, but I just feel like Megatron needs more paint around that face. Just a dull, gray face. I'm so tired of seeing it. It doesn't look interesting. I do like the chest. It reminds me of the core when in Transformers Animated, Megatron had his chest opened and he had that core that you can actually see. So that's pretty cool, but that's just me, I guess. Yeah, it's typical Megatron. I don't like the transparent chest, though. I think that looks odd from everything else. I understand why they had to do it, but it's just a little too distracting. And then with the Energon armor, what I really do like is that the head is obviously meant to represent Galvatron. You can see it on the crown. And the spikes coming off kind of reminds me of that Dark Energon from Transformers Prime. I don't know if that's just going to be me. It just reminds me of that. But, yeah, I think he looks okay if you're into it, but I've seen better, I've seen worse. That's pretty much my opinion on it. And then moving right along, we also have a Trooper Class Bumblebee. And in car form, it's just the basic car, not transparent windows this time, just painted blue. The black stripes are thinner compared to that Officer Class Bumblebee, so yeah, not sure how I feel about it. Yeah, it's just a typical Bumblebee. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to repeat myself over and over again. Taking a look at the robot mode, again, typical Bumblebee, but this time with a glowing chest. And I do like the sword. I think that looks pretty cool. And the face sculpt has a different expression this time. Instead of just happy joy, he looks angry. So that's interesting, but again, typical transformation, not much to really say here. And then we've got the Energon armor version of him, so this is all attachable. I do like the crown. It kind of looks like a beetle head, so that's nice. You know, you got the horns off to the side. That might just be me. I don't know, there's something about it that reminds me of a beetle. I might be wrong. But it's also got some shoulder armor and something that goes over the chest. I think that overall it's not too bad. I'm also noticing that these probably don't have any head articulation. Because, you know, you gotta fit around that Energon armor. But, yeah, typical Bumblebee. I kind of like the armor, but there's not much to say. And then we get to some of the new figures. This is Meteorfire, which I thought was Metrofire. And in jet mode, I really don't like it. I don't like the gold on the front. You know what? Actually, this wouldn't be so bad as a wing saber now that I think of it. But, yeah. It's just so clunky on the front that I really can't get into it. I'm fine with most of it. I mean, the arms underneath really don't look good, especially with the tiny wings. But, I'd be willing to move past a lot of this. In fact, I kind of like the blocky aesthetic, but it's just too thick on the front, and I just can't get into it. Taking a look at his robot mode, this I really can't get into. Kind of reminds me of that Robots in Disguise Storm Shot, I believe was his name, where it's just like this random aerial bot. But I don't think it's bad. You know, you got some blue and gold and white. It actually reminds me of a lot of the earlier Robots in Disguise toys, not the one that's connected to Transformers Prime. You also get a couple of blades on the side of the arm, which I think is fine. Just overall, it's kind of cool, you know? It's a different character this time, so that's good. And then we also have the Energon armor version of it, so you get some attachments for the wings, and of course, the armor that slaps onto the chest. It's a thing that's there. I'm starting to notice that this really does look like a Seeker, though, especially with the shoulder things, but, yeah, just typical armor. You know, it's got the light up thing. I'm not gonna get too much into it. But I saved the best for last. This is Wildwheel, I believe his name. He was recently revealed in some of the art and also the teaser. And I really do like the alt mode. I think this is fine. I like the brown and purple. It's different than what we usually get. Actually, it wouldn't be so bad as a chrome dome. So yeah, I love that purple canopy that goes throughout the car on the top there. I like this kind of Cybertronian. It kind of looks like something from, I guess, Blade Runner or something. I don't know. There's just something very sci-fi about it, and I really do like the aesthetic of it. But what I really like is the robot mode. Unfortunately, you don't get the detail in the boots like you do in the CGI render, but that cowboy hat, and that beard and everything, and the two pistols, sure they're in transparent green, which looks a little odd, but my god, this is so Western that I love it. Such a interesting cowboy aesthetic that is so different from the norm that this is a figure that I definitely want to have. Sure, it's got the canopy that sticks out on the back. I really don't care. Look at the cowboy hat. How can you argue with the cowboy hat? You can't. I'd like to see you try. It just looks so good. The transformation does look similar to that of Bumblebee, but I'm not gonna complain. And then you also have that Energon armor stuff, which gives them this little hood face mask thing, and then this little blade that sticks up on the shoulder. I actually don't think it looks that bad this time around. Unfortunately, you only get one piece for the Energon armor stuff, and I guess the pistols kind of count, but if you don't count it, it's just that. But I'm not going to complain too much. I even like the belt thing that goes around his chest. Just overall, you know, really cool. I'm not sure how I feel about the transparent chest, because of course it's got the light up gimmick, but overall, this is a figure that I am highly interested in. So anyways, that is my opinion. What do you guys think? Please comment below. Let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all those fun doodads. And I will see you guys